them. And then
But I mean, also in the same sense, the Seattle lost to New York at home. So, I mean...
Yeah. And the Seahawks literally had like a minute on the clock with Dallas's defense to march down the field to win the game. So yeah, they've both struggled against bad teams, but I think Seattle is better. All right. Speaking of Washington, Tampa Bay at Washington. I don't have.
Tampa Bay, I hope.
I don't think the Washington football team deserves to be in the playoffs. I'm just going to lay this out right now. I don't think if you are 8-8 or worse that you deserve to be in the playoffs. You should at least have a winning record to be in the playoffs.
Especially when there's teams in, I know that they're in the AFC and they didn't get in the AFC, but you're talking about 10-win teams that are not in the playoffs.
Yeah, I just don't understand how. Well, first of all, there are too many teams in the playoff as it is. When more than half of your teams are in the playoffs, no, they're not. It's not quite half. Just under half of the teams in the NFL are in the playoffs, and that includes a 7-9 team. I just don't think that makes sense to put them in the playoffs. That being said, it's going to be a fun game to watch, at least for a little bit, because I don't know if you've noticed, but that Washington defense, they got some really scary guys on that team. Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan. They got some really good players on that defense, but I don't know how that defense is going to handle Tom Brady and the weapons that the Buccaneers have. Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, like 7 different running backs that can just run all over you.
Donald Jones.
Yeah. So I think that Washington keeps it close at first, but I think Tampa Bay pulls away to a 10-14 point win against the Washington football team.
I think it's just a matter of, it might be close for a little bit, but it's only a matter of time before Tampa starts scoring. And once that happens, I don't really know that necessarily the Washington's going to be able to score. So I'm Tampa. Yeah, you probably by 2 or more touchdowns.
Yeah.
Eventually at the end.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 35-7 Tampa Bay.
I think their defense is better than that. I don't know. I don't think they're going to...
It's the playoffs.
35? I was thinking more like 21-10, you know? But the sentiment stays the same. Tampa's going to win. Dan O'Shea, are you making this one unanimous as well?
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance Tampa loses this.
All right. And then, in my opinion, the last game in the first round, the biggest blowout that we're going to see, the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears. Now, you can say I'm wrong all you want. I just don't see how the Bears hang anywhere near close to the Saints. I think we're talking about like 35-10 at halftime. Saints are going to lead. I know that sounds ludicrous because, it's 2 NFL teams. But the Bears are not good, and the Saints are really good. So,
Michael Thomas back?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I seriously, I think we're talking about a 49-17 type of game here.
Kamara's going to have 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he's in COVID, right? Protocol?
Who?
Alvin Kamara?
Yeah, you're right, he is. So he probably won't be playing. All right, so we'll make that 42-17.
I think you're right just because I think Chicago's kind of lucky to be in this position. And although I don't know if the Saints have the firepower to carry them through the entire postseason, their defense is pretty solid. Quarterback play is questionable in Chicago. And New Orleans is in the Dome, and they're a different person when they're in the Dome. So you do not want to see them there. So it's not going to be close. I think New Orleans, the final score, they've beaten them by at least 21.
Yeah, I think if the Saints want to make it through the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl, they got to hope that Seattle can beat Green Bay and Lambeau. That's the only hope they have, is that they get to host.
That's the real only home field advantage in this playoff. For the most part, if the things shake out the way that they are, is Green Bay in January and February. I mean, Buffalo can certainly get that way with a lot of snow, but the teams Buffalo is going to probably see Kansas City, Seattle. These are teams that play up north anyway. They're not really running into a lot of teams that don't play in these weather situations.
Yeah, I think Tampa's going to struggle in Green Bay. I think the Rams would struggle in Green Bay. I think that Seattle really has the best chance at beating the Packers. If the Packers get past Seattle, they're going to the Super Bowl. In my opinion.
Historically, those have always been good games.
Yeah, and I think, the speed of that defense and Russell Wilson and the talent they have on offense, they're really the only shot at beating the Packers in the playoffs without it being some crazy upset. So that being said, New Orleans over Chicago, do we all agree? Do we all think it's going to be a big deficit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a Herculean effort for Chicago to overcome New Orleans. They're just, they're built for it. They're on a mission. It's Breeze's last season. They're going to be, I don't see how they're not going to be in the NFC Championship, really. New Orleans.
Tampa could take them out.
Not based on their last performances.
No, not based on their last performance. No, you're right. But just never count out Tom Brady, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So, So, guys, that's it. That's our first round breakdown. One last thing that I want to talk about, because we're not going to get to talk about it until after it's already happened, and we do still have a few minutes before we got to go, is Nick Caserio gets a 6-year contract, making him one of the 3 highest paid GMs in the NFL. Texans give him a 6-year contract.
Wow.
Yeah. Tony, this is going to be for you. Monday night is the national championship in college football. Ohio State, Alabama. Last time these two met, a future Cowboy would run all over that number 1 ranked defense. So, just quick thoughts.
I remember. And Trey Sermon's trying to do his best impression right now.
I don't know where Trey Sermon came from, man. I was all on that Master Teague train to be in the season.
Yeah, so I have a better understanding of this. Trey Sermon transferred out of Oklahoma this year to go to Ohio State for this season. And because he didn't practice or anything, the coaches didn't really know a lot about Trey Sermon, but it became clear throughout the year and through practice that Trey Sermon was going to be better than Master Teague.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. Master Teague he's a hard runner, and his name is fucking awesome. So
his name is awesome, although Trey Sermon has been running like a man possessed.
Yeah, yep. So it's definitely interesting. Alabama got the Heisman winner. I think they got it right for the first time in a long time. I think because Jamar Chase opted out this season, Devontae Smith was the best player in college football. So I think for once, the selection committee actually got it right.
I agree with that. I've been saying for weeks now that if they don't give it to Devontae Smith, the Heisman voting is a joke.
Honestly, if I were a Heisman voter, which clearly I'm not, it would have been, because you vote for your top 3, it would have been an Alabama clean sweep. I would have gone with Devontae Smith 1, Najee Harris 2, Mac Jones 3. I just don't think anyone else was even in consideration, except for maybe Kyle Trask until 3 weeks ago. Kyle Trash. But anyways, Alabama, Ohio State, national championship, Monday night. Pretty excited for this game. I think Ohio State's going to win it. People have been giving them shit, saying, they've only got 6 wins. Quite honestly, I don't think this season should count at all. Like, I think anyone that played, they should be like, you can get a do-over. Next season, you can come back if you want. Even if you are a senior. I feel like they are doing that. I think they should also, though, because of the how many people are going to be on the teams now, they need to increase the number of scholarships so that you can keep those who decide to come back for their 5th or 6th season on scholarship, while also allowing the freshmen that are coming in to keep their scholarships. And you need to waive the transfer sit-out rule. I think that if, I don't know, someone that's a senior, I don't know, if Pat Fryermuth is like, you know what, I really want to play football again, but I think I'm not going to be able to take the starting job from whoever at Penn State. Let me transfer over to USC because I think I can take their starting job. Let them do it. That was a bad example, obviously, because Pat Fryermuth is like the best tight end in Penn State history. But you get the point. I think that the NCAA needs a major overhaul, at least for this upcoming season, probably for the rest of forever. And I think that really, I don't think, I'm not going to take the championship away from whoever wins it, but I don't think that this season really counts, in my opinion.
I mean, I can see why. I could. Go ahead, Danny.
I was just going to say, it was salvage season, so.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great showing. There was a lot of problems. I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying, especially with respect to the college athletes. Obviously, as an Ohio State fan, I believe we have a chance. Now, Alabama, I think, is a better caliber football team, but I do believe that there is, starting with what Clemson said coming into this, that they really just slammed home, and all the reporters slammed home the Ohio against the world mentality on them. And listen, I thought it was going to be a nail-biter of a game and could come down to one possession against Clemson. I love the revenge and getting to kick the shit out of them. And if Ohio State can prepare like that, there is a good chance that they could give Alabama a serious problem and put them in a position that they have not experienced at all this year.
I think what they need to do to win, because I think Ohio State's defense this year is better than Alabama's. Maybe people think I'm a fool for saying that. This is definitely a down defense for Alabama, but it's one of the best offenses they've ever seen. Ohio State has to know that they're not going to be able to stop Devontae Smith. So I'm not saying just allow him to do what he wants, but just understand that Sean Wade's not going to keep him in check. But
but if I was Ohio State, I listen. If I have to give up some plays and the one thing that Ohio State does a lot, which is Devontae Smith is going to push you, and I think you're going to see a lot of over-the-top safety help for this.
Exactly.
Because Ohio State, you can score on them. It's possible, but they're going to make you earn every yard and every minute of that. They don't give up big plays all that often.
Nope.
Especially if they have their full defense there. And furthermore, with what happened to Clemson, people need to owe Northwestern and Indiana more credit.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Just some real quick, Dan O'Shea, Dan Beebe, what are your thoughts on the national championship, if you have any? And then we're going to go into our This Week in Sports History and end it.
I think Ohio State's going to blow them out, to be honest with you.
Woohoo.
Just a lot of talent in that team.
It's hard to say it'll be a blowout, but after what Ohio State just did to Clemson, it's I don't know. It's hard to say they're not the favorite. Even with Devontae Smith, he's an absolute beast. But watching Trevor Fields, that I was thinking of as a Jets fan, like instead of drafting Fields. Did I say Trevor Fields?
Justin Fields.
After watching Fields play like an absolute superhuman, especially after getting a helmet to the ribs and possibly breaking one or two,
I thought he was going to start bleeding from his kidneys.
Yeah, he's a man on a mission. He was so impressive. I want him at 2 now. If Jags take Lawrence, which is highly likely.